So we'll speak today about piety. Penitential seasons are times in which we examine ourselves in order to improve. So piety is a virtue which needs to be cultivated more, especially among the good. All right, so we'll talk about that. Piety is the warmth of love. Love in itself is merely to will the good to someone. That's love. It's as cold as ice in itself, just to will good to somebody. Even if you accomplish the good, it's cold. The will is cold. It just wills. That's all it does. It wills. So there is lacking in it, you might say, a warmth. By the virtue of charity, we love God above all things, and we manifest this love primarily and essentially by obedience to the commandments. If you love me, you will keep my commandments, our Lord said. But beyond obedience to the commandments, human love naturally produces a piety. That is, an attention and a devotion to the loved one. Attention and devotion. So piety involves those two things. Attention and devotion. That's true of anything we like, including our pet turtle. You pay attention to it. I don't know if you've ever had a pet turtle, but you pay attention to it and you are devoted to it. Or your tank of fish, or anything. And the more you love it, there's a natural increase of piety toward it. Even people are devoted to their jobs. Because there's attention and, how would you say, devotion is a hard thing to, there's an assiduous, we might say, observance of providing good to someone. So someone might show a great deal of devotion to a sick person. That is, you're very devoted to, you look in on them all the time. Your attention is assiduous. That's devotion. So it's closely related to attention. Pertains to the mind. Attention, we give attention to what we love. Love attracts the mind. That's what we call attention. You pay attention to what you love. And vice versa. You don't pay attention to things you don't love. You can be indifferent. You know, for example, that a crow dropped dead. All right. It's indifferent that the thing just dropped dead, you see. But that your pet parrot dropped dead would be a whole different thing. So now imagine human love without piety. Imagine young couples without piety in their relationship. Where they spoke to each other as if robots. I love you. I love you too. And that's the end of the conversation. I mean, you'd say there's something wrong with these people. Or imagine parents who had no piety toward their children. Here's money. Here's clothing. That's all they did was provide. Here it is. That's all they did. That's love. Willing the good. And accomplishing the good where you have the opportunity. Here's food. Then shut the door. I mean, just think about that. You're providing the necessities of life. You're looking to their good. You know, even if you gave them a lot of money. It's unnatural to human beings. Or children who had no piety toward their parents, which is very common. No devotion toward their parents. A child that never hugged his mother or his father. A problem in families today is that parents provide, but they show no warmth or attention to their children. Kids really don't care too much about whether the family has a lot of money or not. That's Capriccio Español. And that's Father Saavedra. Well, we provide music, too, in these videos. So maybe you'll edit that one out. Yeah, I gave him that. So yeah, that's Capriccio Español by Tchaikovsky. You should hear some of the others. Children don't really care that much. I think one of the saints said if a mother has a very, very expensive emerald necklace on, perhaps worth thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, emeralds are very, very expensive. The little baby is more interested in his mother's milk than it is in the emerald necklace. It could not care less about the emerald necklace. It could be something plastic as far as the baby is concerned. So handing children a lot of money or having them live in riches as if that makes them happy or is just false. Kids don't care too much about, they don't even know sometimes. I mean, parents worry about money and all, and the kids, what they really are looking at is the piety and the attention and the devotion of their parents. So I'm pointing this out as a general law of love. Even pets show piety toward their masters. My cats come over, and when I'm at the computer, they come over to me and start doing this. They want to sit with me just to show that they like me. It's true. It's a natural thing. That's piety. Now imagine a priest or a nun without piety. They exist. worldly priests. Now, our modern life has a tendency to destroy piety. Modern inventions have not given us time. In fact, they have taken time away. For example, the car. In, let's say, 1850, if something were 5 miles away, it would take you perhaps an hour to get there. So the idea of moving around a lot was just impossible. You might go within a mile of where you live most of the time, because you would have to get the horses ready and the carriage ready, or whatever you're doing. Even in a cross-country carriage, 30 miles was a lot. It took 2 weeks to go from northern France to southern France in the 18th century. And that's where they had relays of horses and everything. You would get new horses every so-and-so miles. 2 weeks to go through France by carriage. All right, now you could do it in a few hours. It's 500 miles long. Take your day, maybe. See, so it means that we are expected to be at places and do things far away, and actually eats up time. Oh, I'll run down to Tampa. I'll get on a plane and go up here and back. It really has taken time away from us. The airplane especially. You know, if your mother died someplace and, you know, on the other side of the country, you couldn't possibly think about going. Now it's, you got to fly in. It has, I mean that's a good thing that you go to your mother's funeral, but I'm saying that the demands are much greater. So the demands on time, a modern the washing machine, the same thing. We wash a lot more than we used to. And television is the great thief of time. It used to be that people did more intelligent things for their recreation than what we call the boob tube. Whereas the boob in English means idiot. So the idiot tube, all right? I mean, it's just totally debasing intellectually. People, even if you played cards, your brain is working. Or if you sat down to a piano and played music, and sang folk songs or something like that, everybody's brain is working. There's beauty in that. In cards, there's mathematics. There's your brain. You have to, even a game of Monopoly or anything, checkers, chess. You have to think. See, so people were more active intellectually before the awful television came. Now it's like one of those flat lines that you see when somebody's dead, you know, in the oscilloscope. You know, there's nothing, you know, they're brain dead. You know, that's what it is. And it has taken away so much time. So that is one of the factors in modern life, is that there's no room for piety because of all of the use of time by all of these modern inventions. The computer, you know, people, you know, the computer is entertainment for a lot of people. And there's nothing wrong with being entertained. It's just that people spend far more time on that thing than they should, looking at stupid things, and, you know, anybody can put up any idiotic thing on the computer. And they're talking in chat rooms to stupid people, and they're saying stupid things. And you see the stupid comments that people make. So, just as these things have destroyed or weakened piety in the family, so they have also weakened or destroyed our piety toward God. So there tends to be in modern society a lack of prayer life and a lack of thought toward spiritual things. There's no recollection. There is a spirit of minimalism toward God. Give God the least you possibly can. Rejoice when the priest says Mass faster than the other priest. Oh, we got him today. We'll be out sooner. Horror at the thought of making a Thanksgiving after Mass. Horror. All right? Why would you do anything like that? The Mass is over. That's true. There's people think like that. They run out, you know. And there's great attention to worldly distractions such as television, movies, sports, other people, business, and money. So, this is modern life, which was it's quite different from life before all of these inventions and everything else. So, how do we show greater piety toward God? First, spiritual reading and meditation. Now, you do this as seminarians. So you should have an easier time with piety. Next is detachment from excessive attachment to the world. So this is what you're doing in the seminary, actually, is detaching yourself from the world. That's why it takes a while. And you should emerge detached. Then the scheduling of acts of piety, preferably tied to meals or bedtime. So you have that in the seminary. You have a schedule of piety in the seminary. But you won't have that when you get out of the seminary. And that's where the trouble begins for many priests. They become so active in the apostolate that they neglect their piety. And you have to watch that. And it is especially true when you're not living in a community of priests. And then there's the usual things to do, visits to the Blessed Sacrament, frequentation of the Sacrament of Penance and Holy Eucharist. You're doing all of these things. And good preparations and thanksgiving. So you want to prepare well to receive the Holy Eucharist. There's prayers and prayer books. And then a thanksgiving, which you do after Mass. But again, you have the support of the seminary rule. You won't have that when you get out. And there will be a tendency to see the priesthood as a job. You'll have all sorts of management to take care of, a lot of things to do, and things that regard just worldly management. The sewer has backed up. And so there is a tendency in priests, if they're not vigilant, to make the priesthood practically like a secular job. Because they've lost their piety. And then you should make regular and consistent acts of devotion to the Sacred Heart, to Our Lady and Saint Joseph, and other saints. But be careful not to do this, what we might call extra piety. Be careful not to overdo it, because if you can't pray to every saint in the calendar. And it would be better to do a little faithfully than a lot unfaithfully. It's a form of pride to take on more than we can do in anything. It's a form of pride. So it would be better to be faithful in a few things than unfaithful in many things. So you can't have a devotion to everybody. And we must never forget that it was God who was first pious toward us. The Blessed Sacrament. Love seeks union. And that union, and that's St. Thomas, love seeks union. And that union is piety. You see, you want to be with people whom you love. That's piety. Love seeks union. Well, who seeks union more than the Blessed Sacrament? He waits there the whole day. I think it's St. Louis de Montfort who says he's like someone waiting outside your door for you to come out. I believe it's St. Louis de Montfort. And the Sacred Heart, that he should manifest to us his Sacred Heart. Who is more pious than that toward us? I'll just finish this. The effects of piety are these. God will be pleased, for we will render to him what is his due. He is owed piety in justice. And our spiritual lives will become a joy and not a burden of law and duty. The Curé of Ars said, and it's true, oh, brother. He said, the more we pray, the more we will want to pray. And vice versa, the less you pray, the less you will want to pray. He said that. Curé of Ars. And in homes, God will bless homes with supernatural and natural blessings. Vocations to the religious life come from pious homes, as a rule. Now, God can choose whomever he pleases, and sometimes they come from pagan homes. But as a rule, you get, if you read the breviary Lives of the Saints, almost always those saints come from pious homes. They have pious parents. Because that's the natural flow of things. God chooses, as part of the decree of predestination, into what family you will be born, and the circumstances that in which you will live, etc. It's all planned by God. All right, very good.